audience. How are you all doing today? My name is Tess Bismail from iSocialX, and this is the Event Tech Pull-Up. We are so happy to have you today, and I absolutely adore my partner in crime, and his name is...
And I am Keith Johnston with I3 Events.
Lackluster again.
I know.
We need to work on it.
You know what? Maybe lackluster is my thing.
It thing, but I'm sure the audience will not believe it as much as we carry on, right?
Very true.
So Keith, today in the Event Tech news, tell us what's first up.
First up, everyone's favorite, at least place to get a domain name, GoDaddy, but they are also a really large web host. In fact, off the top of my head, I can think of 5 different conferences that host their websites with GoDaddy, but GoDaddy had a pretty massive breach. They had an unauthorized person or persons has been able to access the login credentials of a number of accounts for quite some time. Don't quote me, but I think it's been since last October that these people have been able to access these websites. And beyond doing malicious things, of course, which you can do to a website, it's what they can actually access. There is the possibility that these people have been able to access like attendee or customer, well, they're saying, but in our case, attendee data, passwords, and a lot of other things.
Wow.
So if you host with GoDaddy, it might be time to check on your site security.
Yes, definitely. And, you know, we really, really, really put in the forefront on the show and in our lives security. And that's why we've had 2 security people on our show already.
Yes.
So hopefully those of you who are currently listening now, and this is your first time with us or viewing us, please make sure you take a look at some of our previous episodes. And we have had a very famous cybersecurity person as well as a congressman who actually is over cybersecurity for our nation. So we're really excited about that.
You just totally loop back to other episodes. I love the way you do that.
You like that? You know, you might think I might have a little Marcon background in my blood somewhere, huh?
I know, right?
Definitely. So on to the next. Surface Go 2 is only $3.99, Keith?
Only $3.99, and the cool
Did they take into account people don't have money? Is that what it is?
Well, yes and no. The Surface Go was always like the Surface Lite, so it was always a much cheaper alternative to getting a full Microsoft Surface.
Right.
But the cool thing about the Surface Go 2 is bigger display, a great Intel processor, and the cool thing is $399. You know, would you want this for your daily driver? You know, the computer you're going to tote around all the time? No, of course not. But if you're an event person or an association person who travels, it's a great computer to take, or great tablet-y, laptop-y thing to have with you when you travel. They also work absolutely phenomenal at the registration desk. Which is kind of our use for them, right? You know, if I were to go out and get a fleet of Surface Goes, we would actually use them at the events because they're light, they're fast, they're good, they're decent. So there you go. For $3.99, you can't beat it.
Right. I mean, if you think about it, there's a couple of things that you could do with it. I mean, you think about everyone who's sheltered in place now, that could be their go-to device, if you will, that they use to do all the virtual meetings, and they can do all their heavy lifting and all their wonderful personal things that they don't need to be concerned about bogging down their connection in their virtual experience. They could do it on a totally separate device that's nice and clean and free. And I know, Keith, you do that oftentimes.
Well, when I switch between my 30 different devices.
Yeah. So you could use it as that. And then if I think about it too, there are several of our fellow event profs, some AV companies who have put together, I know NMR with their streaming services that they're doing around virtual that they're delivering to their clients. You know, they're doing kits for the speakers, right? That they're shipping out, right? And there are a lot of others who are doing that sort of thing too. So this is reasonable enough in a platform for especially some people who have the budgets to be able to do it, who could ship this in a kit to a speaker or to a panelist so that they will be able to access the platforms and the technology and not, again, have to deal with all the downloads and stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah, preload it so it's exactly what they need. They fire it up and off they go.
Yep, bring it back, clean it, and there it is. So that's a good one. IG. What happened?
Well, Instagram
get a little loopy. We do get loopy.
Instagram Live is actually on fire. And it's been a lot because of the Rona, keeping everybody locked down. Celebrities are actually using Instagram Live as an outlet to reach out to their fans, but that is actually starting to bleed out to regular people. So if you're an association that really, or anyone who does events or has a member base and you don't want to be on TikTok, because who really wants to be on TikTok? Instagram Live is a great place to, do quick, nice little engagements with members, because people of all ages are on Instagram. Everyone from, the kids, they're still on the Instagram. The olds, we're on the Instagram. So again, it is a nice universal spot to reach everyone that isn't Facebook if you want to do something a little different. When it comes to social media and Instagram, I always tell people that the two platforms an association or a company really needs to be on are Facebook and LinkedIn, but Instagram is great if you got the time. So.
Yeah, or you have a lot of visuals, visual forward, a lot of content there, and also your constituents are there as well. I wanted to give an example of what you talked about. So, DJ D Nice, just kind of blew it completely, IG completely out of the water by going live last month, right, for an extended period of time, which I thought was wonderful. And then last week, what he did is he pivoted towards going live DJing, but then he also was raising funds for historically Black colleges and universities. So it was a fundraiser that he had. So I said, so that became more of an interesting type of concept and event. Now, he is very special. He has certain licensing rights and can be able to play the music he does, and most DJs don't have the ability to do that in that live kind of space. But maybe this is an opportunity, Keith, that our viewers and listeners can kind of think about ways in which they can create fundraising opportunities for something that's pretty cool for the masses, and do more of a broadcast. It doesn't have to be a webinar, just a straight broadcast.
Sure.
And pull in a piece of that.
Well, and and that's the other thing, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole here, but so many groups aren't doing anything online for their members because they're waiting for things to be perfect. We can't do this because it's got to be perfect. And is that slide deck ready yet? You know what? Just go live. Just do it. Right?
Just do it. You'd be so amazed at how forgiving people are. People have been forgiving on live for forever, but now with everything how it has been, they're even more forgiving. I mean, I just got off of a rehearsal for a webinar that I have to do tomorrow as a panelist, and one of the moderators, she, we're talking, and all of a sudden I see this foot fly up in the and I said, "You have a baby?" And I knew her, so I didn't even know she had a child. I was like, "Oh, you have a baby?" And we just started talking. And it wasn't I'm offended that a foot flew up in her face while she's talking to me and we're doing a rehearsal. So people are forgiving, right?
Yeah, they really are, and the thing is, if you are 90% of the time you are whatever, normal, I guess, and a kid goes running across the background, or a dog jumps up in your lap, no one's going to say a thing. They're all going to get a good chuckle out of it. You have to find the humor in it. And if you find the humor in it, other people will.
Absolutely. Yeah, just don't be alarmed. So our very last piece of news for the day, which I think I saw coming in a weird kind of way, is the Spotify is testing video podcasts.
Yes.
Does that mean that we have some leverage now? People are going to actually see us, even though we recorded them all, but see us?
Yeah. We put these up on YouTube, but our audience primarily gets this through audio. But yes, Spotify is actually messing around with video podcasts, which actually, you've called that one for a while, but it is going to be interesting. I don't know if I'm pro or con on this one yet, right? I think that podcasts, the audio is great, right? I love to put on the headphones and go for a walk, do whatever. Are people going to get FOMO of missing something that is on video because they're listening on audio, and then they're not going to listen to that episode because they want to watch the video, but then they're never going to go back to it? I don't know. My brain's got to process that, but yeah.
I think, there's always space for video, but I'm surprisingly kind of agree with you. I mean, lots of people who do podcasts are doing video recordings as well, not just pure audio. But when you have a platform that you've for so long relied on for audio, but they've been slowly moving to that anyway, because all the music videos that are in there, because of all of there's shows that have been in there for a long time. Yeah. I remember first show I saw was before Jada Pinkett's Red Table that's on IG, was when we've got Hov, the man himself had his own table, right? And if you think about bringing, hip hop artists together at a table to have a conversation, right? Without his wife, Miss Beehive herself, right? It's just dudes who are at the table talking about things that,
the dudes of the round table.
The dudes of the round table. I think it's an interesting concept. So from music videos to, some sort of shows to doing it as podcasts, I'm not mad about that, but interesting. How are you going to differentiate that?
Yeah. And
right? How are you going to still let podcasts have their podcast way?
And there are sometimes brands do things that I don't understand. I understand why they did it, but then you don't understand why they did it. It's like when Starbucks started selling all that food, right? It's we
don't even remember now Starbucks without food.
Right, but it's like, you're a coffee shop. Be a coffee shop.
Right.
I don't know.
Exactly.
Well, we'll see how that one goes.
Okay, you want to send them home this time?
No, actually, no, because we got a guest. I'm not sending anybody home.
Darn. We got a guest.
Yeah.
Who could it be?
We like her anyway.
Who could it be? Okay. It'll have to be a surprise for them. Dun, 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 dun. I am so excited. Welcome to the Event Tech Pull-Up. My name is Tess Vismail, and you all already know my partner in crime. Dun, 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 dun.
Keith, with I3 Events, that guy?
That guy. With so much love.
I really gotta come up with something to do right there.
Gotta get it together. Well, for all of our audience, our viewers, and our listeners, we are so excited to have you today. We've been listening to some of the comments that you've had, the feedback that you post on social, and we really, really do appreciate that. So make sure you're sharing the show with your tribe, and remember, they can listen in or they can view us definitely online. So we have a treat for you today. We are going to bring you Michelle Bernstein, who is our very dear friend. We love her to death. And I think at the end of the show, you're going to realize why we love her the most. She is marketing maven with a passion for designing and implementing social media campaigns across multiple platforms. She has a deep knowledge of the event and hospitality markets. She really truly is a pure event marketer, if I would call her that. And she's highly experienced in analyzing online data, effective project management, assisting in planning integrated marketing strategies, and achieving results to increase what we know at this point in time is very important, which is sales. And she has this fabulous company called Be Creative, and I partner with her all the time on a lot of my projects. So welcome to the show, Michelle.
Thank you, Tess, and thank you, Keith. I'm so excited to be here and dive into some pressing questions about marketing post-COVID era. It's crazy out there, especially for the event industry, and we're going to kind of peel the potato on what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. So our first question up for you, which is, I always have some self-servingness into what I ask questions about. But, now that we are, I don't want to call it post-COVID because people keep calling it pre and post, but during these times, there are lots of free virtual events going on, services that are free, people who are asking speakers like myself and Keith and yourself to speak at their events complimentary, right? And how do you put value packages together? How those values look different nowadays. People offering various different complimentary events or services. So kind of like, how do we deal with that, and what do we do with that?
And that's a great question, because we are posed with that ask from the speaker side. We're posed with that ask from venues, and a lot of the venues that we work for and do marketing, they're asked, to do free events and not charge their rental fees. And even suppliers that are constantly asked to provide, rental items at events. And now with this shift and change, I think, since it is uncharted territory, they're asking that freebie ask once again. How can we, stir up new business? How can we pick this speaker and get them to tell us their expertise, gratis? So it is a, pressing ask right now, and a lot of people are being approached. I look at this as, we're in a new beta mode, right? So all of these virtual events are kind of in their beta. It's new for them. It's a new environment. So they are asking people like you, Tess, to lend your expertise, for free. And I think as people that are being asked for those free services, we really have to mind our P's and Q's and really cover ourselves. And I think I discussed this with you, putting like an official form together to really find out and identify what we're getting in return. Because and I know this is a hot button even before COVID happened. It's like, speak and you'll get promoted, X, Y, Z. We want to see that.
You'll get exposure.
We want to see that value, right? Exactly. You'll get exposure.
Overused term.
Yes, that overused term. So it's like, we want them to put their money where their mouth is. If you're not going to pay me, what's in it for us? How can you market our venue? How can you market me as a speaker? So it has to be in writing, and we have to, create some accountability in order for you to say, yes, this is worth my time, or partnering up with them to present something of value. There's other ways we could approach this, so we could not just spin our wheels and do things, for free without having any, ROI in return, because it is very difficult. And I know, again, you're hesitant. Is this going to work? And I know for you, Tess, I'm using you as a test bunny, an example, doing a few of these events to really show your value is kind of your own PR, like you shifted in this time and age, you shifted some of your own services and your own packages, and you're utilizing some of these opportunities as a launch pad to promote those services. So in those scenarios, it is, wise and agreeable for you to do things, gratis. But you really have to evaluate the opportunities that come to you.
Well, and I see it in a couple different ways, right? As someone who speaks, I get do this for free all the time. I look at every opportunity differently, right? I will get 3 things that say, hey, we want you to speak. Oh, well, was it pay? Nothing. I'll look at all 3 of them, and maybe one I'll take, right? Because I'll look at it and go, okay, if I do this, it's good for me. The target audience are people that I really want to see. But I think flipping the free scenario on its head for a lot of event organizers can be beneficial. In the case of an association that has an annual event that had to pivot to virtual, they might go to their top sponsors who are reluctant to spend, whether $5, $10, $20, $30, $40,000 on a sponsorship and say, okay, on this one, we're going to give it to you for free because we're all in new waters.
And that goes back to that same beta concept. Like,
Yep.
When a new software launches, they offer it for free because they want to test the waters. They want to be able to, prove a value behind that first run, right? So I think it coincides with what we're saying, Keith, 100%. And what you're saying as far as you're going to evaluate each opportunity that comes to you as far as whether you're going to agree to speak for free or not. And it goes back to kind of creating that accountability form. Does this event target this new audience I'm trying to reach, or does it not? You have to evaluate all the deliverables, right, from that opportunity for sure.
Yeah. So Michelle, just, I know we're going to move on to the next question, but let's, you talked about a form, asking a question so that people can fill it out. Give us like one or two questions that you may ask. And then on the flip side, when you receive the answers, how could we really look at what really truly equals value? Right? Because, in the talks that I have had in recent time, it's all about the fact that we have a level playing field and all the values go out the door is how they used to be. Where I used to put my money is different. Way I equate value is different. So speakers are going to equate their value, as Keith talked about, differently than they did. Sponsors are going to look at their window totally different, right? Event marketers, your services, you're going to look at what you used to produce for your clients differently, and so on and so on. So how can we get to that?
So on that form, you of course are asking, what is the total attendance, registered attendance? Because first you want to know how many people are actually going to attend this, number one. What does that attendee demographic look like? Because again, I know Keith's asking that question. Like if it's in a market that you already know people, why, and it's not very visible, so why would you want to invest your time on that? That would be another question. I know this is a very sensitive question for some organizers. If the speaker asks, well, what is your typical, speaker budget for this? What are the sponsors being charged for this opportunity? Because if the speaker value, say, is $1,000, now I'm flipping that again, Tess, to say, if you were featured on a podcast that reached over 10,000 people, yes, that $1,000 speaker fee would be of value. It would, you would have that value gained in that scenario. So it's just asking those questions and I know it seems very elementary, but it's putting that accountability on paper.
Yeah. And I know I do want to be cognizant of time, but I do know the one thing that in this day and age, and actually, I think it does lead into the next question, but in this day and age, I think it would be really helpful for organizations to be just a tad bit more transparent.
A tad? Nope, not blow the roof off the sucker.
Well, because
blow the roof off the sucker.
If I got an ask, right? If somebody called me up or I never answer my phone. So if they sent me an email first and said, hey, let's set up a call. We want to talk about you speaking at this event. Right. And then we get on the phone and they say, Keith, we are broke. This has crushed us. And we are looking for, great content for our attendees or whatever, you know what? I'm going to go, I get it. And I'm going to be more likely, because if you ask for help, people are, rather than asking for something for free,
yes,
people are more likely to say yes.
Much more likely to say
yes. Give us your situation. Like, be real with us. And I agree with that. I'm a New Yorker, so we will be blunt. We will ask you that way. But, yes, please be honest, be transparent. But I know it is scary, but like you said, we have to swallow our pride and just put our cards on the table for sure.
Yeah. Especially now.
Yeah. Well, and that actually is going to segue us perfectly into the next question, which the next question is with COVID-19, marketing voice. Right. And should organizations on their social channels, on their websites and other things, should they adopt a new voice? And if they do, what is that voice? We already talked about, they should probably be a little more transparent, but what are some of the other things that they can do?
So what I've seen, and we had to shift so quickly. And I was one of those people on March 13th, I was warning people. And a lot of my clients ignored my email. I want to tell you, we were trying to advise our clients quickly because March 13th was my spring break for my kids. And that's when this was kind of like a whisper of what's happening. And I was taking it serious. So we even canceled our spring break plans because we were going to go up to New York. And as you know, New York is one of the hardest hit, states in our country with the virus. So we immediately paid attention. But a lot of my clients, I think they were in disbelief. So we really had to shift quickly. We were telling them, hey, we got to kind of pivot quickly. We got to be ahead of this. And we were even sending out emails to tell our clients, hey, let's put some messaging on your website, just acknowledging, COVID and the precautions that the business was taking. And everybody seemed to be in denial. So all of that asking happened probably 2 to 3 weeks towards the end of March, believe it or not. And I am in Florida. So as you know, Florida is kind of a weird state of what's happening with COVID, and we're already in phase one. I have a lot of Republican friends, so I'm being neutral. I'm not going to reveal my own political standing, but because you don't want to see me boiling. So, but anyhow, we shifted very quickly with the way that we were, posting and creating social media for our clients. And then at the end of March, everybody in the event industry, because a lot of our clients for social media and marketing are event companies. And then at the end of March, it was crickets. Everybody's like, we got to pause. We got to cancel for now. I mean, everybody was just kind of like, what do we do? So it was very challenging at that point. And, we just kept it really positive. And the voice has to be, like you said, Keith, transparent, and you can't seem tone deaf. But I'm in the position, and I believe that you also have to put regular posts, because like we talked about earlier on our kind of rehearsal portion of the call, people don't like doom and gloom, so you got to kind of give a mix of content. I mean, American movies have to have happy endings, so you can't give them the doom
That's a good
and
one.
Gloom.
That's a good one.
So,
but you
have to also, you like you said, you had to do both.
Well, and you make a really good point, right? There is nothing wrong. There is nothing inherently wrong with being positive, right? There isn't. As long as you're a realist, right, and as long as you go, hey, right now it sucks, but you know what? 4 months from now, 5 months from now, it's going to be awesome. And, as an event venue, we're going to be back to having these massive concerts and this and that. And these are going to be great times. And, you will bring your family and you will do this and you will do that, but,
and you got to do some major stuff too, Keith. Like Michelle said, I think that's all this thing that you always cut me off on, which is a humanity piece. You got to act like you care. You hit them hard with the facts, but you got to act like they don't care. I think my favorite, how I mention all the time, Delta Airlines has knocked it out the park. We now know the authenticity of the president and the leader. We hear the voice of the leaders of who's leading the helm, right? And that's what I think companies are doing more so now. I'm even seeing it in the events industry with some of the events that happened this week, where the CEOs and founders took real good time to kick the events off and talk about their position.
But the flip. Sorry, Michelle. But the flip side is there are some people in the industry that are putting out, and the leaders of some larger organizations, that you read what they're putting out there, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
So you really
it's tone deaf. Yes, it's tone deaf.
Yeah.
Now, but let's take a page from Disney's book, because Disney has not even made an announcement on U.S. operations as far as what they're doing, right? And again, this is kind of happening all across the country. Like, no one wants to say anything about the future, and I get that. And going back to being positive is kind of the take you have to be, because again, it's just we're in that unknown, uncharted territory, and it is frustrating. But we just have to have that positive messaging, and like you said, have our leaders in our companies be more visible, more vocal, be more consistent, and just be informative, because that is what we're missing now on social media. And this is kind of my debut, because I've been a little silent myself on my own social media, because I feel overwhelmed. I feel like everybody now is doing all these, videos and Facebook Lives, and I do feel like I need to be out there too. But I think we also need our own mental check. Like, we have to be surrounded with people like our friends, and check in with each other and call each other and build each other up, because some of us are really struggling about being visible, and it's hard.
I'm so glad you said that. And I know we're going to move on to the last question, but I'm so glad you said that piece, because that's my little respect the pause, #respect the pause piece. And it is truly about realizing we can't put a front face on the fact that we're struggling anymore, right? It's that transparency. Everything that we've talked about today deals with transparency. You need to be real about what you can afford and what you can't, what value you can bring, right? You need to ask people how they're doing. These are all the things that lead to that voice, right, Michelle? And right. I think it's very important that you lean on your professionals to help you through this, right? And don't feel like that you have to do everything on alone. The three of us have been talking about event technology and marketing, all kinds of things for years. And now is the time where all the stuff we've talked about, people are jumping in and doing it now. We're like, wow,
because they're
finally,
right?
Welcome, come on over.
Come on over.
We got a chair.
Exactly.
I know, with the working remote too. Exactly. The working remote. It's like, I've been doing this for years. Like,
I know.
How can I help you? and that really, like you said, transitions to our last question about. I'm not going to ask myself the question, but
revising packages, and it was funny before. Pivoting, cross-industry events, those types of things. But, it was really funny. Before we actually got on here, and we do always, have a chat before we come on, I was like, Michelle, whose package, what packages? And it's everybody, right? It's from your sponsorship packages that an association might revise, what your attendees pay, those packages. It could also be for the event planning company, like me, how do we revise some of the things that we do, and the venues, right? So about revising the packages in the COVID-19, take it away.
So, and Tess, again, was one of those test bunnies that we worked on shifting and pivoting her packages. Because right now, some of our normal clients have no money, right?
Yeah.
Some of them are canceling events. Some of them are postponing. But how can we be of value to our clients now, and also get outside our comfort zone? Yeah. And I'm going to call everybody out on this too, because I've been watching what everybody's doing, and even you, Keith. I've been seeing what you and Neela have been doing. So don't think I haven't been watching everybody. So the key I'm watching. Big Brother's watching. The key to pivoting is really digging deep inside you. So what is your value, right? So whether you're an event rental company, whether you're an event planner, whether you're a consultant, what is the value that you can bring into this new market, into this new industry? Or what are some industries that are still working, right? They're still making money. Lawyers, I feel, are kind of disaster proof. Government entities,
funeral homes.
I mean,
funeral homes.
Right.
No, you see, there are associations for those too.
Sure, there are.
I mean, come on.
Well, and actually, and here's a prime example. Like with us, right? With i3, we did our first hybrid event. I think it was in 07 or 08, right? Way back then. So we've always had that room in our services house, I
universe,
guess.
Right.
It's just been, it was just down in the basement, in the back. We go down there and dust stuff off once in a while. And now we're just pulling all that stuff up and putting it in the forefront.
Yeah, and then I'll say it too. Like Michelle is phenomenal. She made me like do some stuff, like do soul work. You got to figure out what that passion is, because right now you got to figure out what people want, and then you got to feel it with the stuff that you're going to enjoy to do to help them out. It's that care. It's like care work, right?
And I always, I always think that associations, especially, think they know what their members want, right? And so they'll push stuff out there, and it's not really what they don't listen, right? And listen to what the people are want, and then you deliver what the people actually want.
Yeah.
That probably totally didn't fit in that conversation anywhere, but whatever. I throw it out there.
We have Event Tech pull up bloopers. We got bloopers all the time.
Well, no, it goes.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing about event planners. Event planners are trained to be resilient. They are trained to have plan B, C, and D. So it's like shift your mindset, shift your perspective, because there are industries that need your help. Like virtual graduations. How are these people going to make it happen? I mean, that's something that you can all step in and offer solutions. Like I said, I was just
summer camps and stuff.
Right,
like that.
Summer camps. And I could give you examples of companies that are kind of taking it by the horns and getting it done. There's like this company called Mad Science. I'm also involved with Girl Scouts. So when all the Girl Scout activities had to cancel, one of their vendors was like, we're going to do these badge programs online, and they shifted. So it's really, and then there are people that need the help on how do I make my service virtual, right? Yeah. And that's kind of where Tess and her expertise come into the picture. So event planners need to just really think very creatively in these times to figure out how can I use my amazing skills and skill set to offer something new. And that's how you build new packages. And it is a lot of, like you said, Tess, soul searching and figuring out, how do we do this? I mean, I'm having difficulty myself with marketing packages because, like you said, Tess, when a client has no money, how do you err on that? How do you put value on that? Right. And that's why my advice is finding other industries that are working and that are busy and offering them something that they could benefit. But the biggest challenge and the nut that I can't crack yet is how to offer marketing, to people that have no budget. There's really no answer. Because we all have to eat, right?
Yeah.
I think, if you do a restaurant's marketing, they can just give you food.
If you do an accounting firm's marketing, they can make sure your books are right.
That's right.
Yeah, but they all are working still. That's the thing. My restaurant client, they're booming. We put all their stuff, their order online. And they're a Mexican restaurant. They couldn't even handle the orders yesterday on Cinco de Mayo. They had to shut their DoorDash off. They could not handle the volume.
That's beautiful. See, those are the kind of stories that we need to see. Right? Definitely.
Well,
So-
Tess, I know you were gonna hit us with the wrap, but it also comes down to relationships, right? If you have an existing relationship with a client and they come up and they say, "Look, right now it sucks," and relationship and transparency, help us with this, and afterward we'll do this. And if you have that existing relationship where you know that they're good.
Yeah, it's built. Exactly. You're building for growth. It's like your relationship just keeps growing. Yeah. It's like you want to grow along the way. That's why, and all of the things that for the audience and the viewers to know is that through all of this time, it's about how we decide to choose the people we want to give value to and receive value from, and handpick them in a way that we all can grow together.
Well, and I love what you're saying, Keith and Tess, because I'll give you an example. I had a client come to me, and this is one of my first clients, always pays on time, has been such a loyal client to me. And when this all hit, she was still approached by other vendors, and they're like, well, you still owe us money. And she got so upset that it's like everybody's hitting them up, like, and they didn't want to give any leeway. So, marketing and web, we're not charging her, and I actually have a phone call with her shortly, and I'm still not going to charge her when she asks for a little more, because you know what? She was there, like you said, she was there for me when I first started growing my business, So,
and those are the people you're going to remember in the future. When you get back on top and everything starts flowing, you're going to remember who did what and how during these times.
Yeah, who had your back?
Who had your back? Absolutely. Well, Michelle, you are
and
our dear friend.
Thank you guys for always having my back.
Oh, absolutely. Every step of the way. We do this for each other all the time. Audience, I hope that now we have proven to you why we love Michelle so much. She has such a wonderful energy. She has great business acumen when it comes to her sweet spot in marketing, especially event marketing.
And she's one of the cool kids.
She is. She's one of the cool kids. We have a very small group of cool kids, and she's like right in there in the middle. So that wraps it up today for the Event Tech Pull-Up. Always remember to find us at eventtechpullup.com. We have a hashtag pull-up with us, and hopefully you'll share. I'm Tess with iSocialX, and my partner in crime is
Keith with i3 Events, and I just cannot do it as good as you do.
One day he's going to match. One day. And thank you all so much for joining us. Have a good one.